Did you which you bums watched the Double or Nothing?
I watched
it.
I've missed the first 2 matches and watched all the rest of it.
All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do? I haven't watched it yet, and I'm not going. I'm not going to watch it unless I'm convinced. I can be convinced to watch certain things. Okay, there's no way I'm watching. How long, Joe? How long was the show? Do you know?
Too long.
Man, they're always too long.
It was past 11, and then the main event. I was like, "There's another match."
During the 4-way, I was like, "Oh my god!" There's still the Anarchy in the arena.
It must have been almost 4 hours, right?
Yeah, more than 4.
Well,
more than 4.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go. Convince me.
Yeah, the pre-show was 1 match only, and it started at 4:30 Vegas time, and I think the pay-per-view ended like at 9.
Okay, we're gonna go through this, and if you can convince me, these matches,
Double or Nothing, yeah.
Double or Nothing.
And just a heads up, Konnan, I just sent Spreaker.
Go ahead, put your mic down. Pull your mic down.
Yep.
What, Joe?
I just sent Spreaker. You know.
Okay. So next is
next 2 months will be up.
Okay.
That was one of the low months.
All right. So next is so Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, and Hook wrestled Ethan Page, Colton Gunn, and Austin Gunn. Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, and Hook defeated Ethan Page, Colton Gunn, and Austin Gunn in 15 minutes and 10 seconds. Does anybody have any comments on this?
Jeff had a little problem in there a couple of times. I don't know if he twisted his ankle or if he was rusty or what.
Yeah, he fell off the top rope, right?
Yeah, it looked really bad.
It was his first match in a year.
Since
his last match out here in Vegas at Double or Nothing against the Bucks. So
this has been fast forward through this. Would you all agree with that?
Yeah.
The only thing because I saw little clips, but the only thing that I want to say about this match is it's very weird that they have Ethan Page or Cowboy Page. Is that his name?
No,
Ethan Page.
All ego.
Oh, Ethan
All
Page.
ego.
Yeah.
All right. So next was the Blackjack Battle Royal.
And he didn't look happy about it either, Konnan, unless I'm reading too much into it. Like just watching him walk to the ring, he kind of seemed like, you know.
Oh,
by the way,
I met Swerve Strickland.
Oh, he's a man.
Oh, yeah. I met Swerve Strickland. Good guy. I like he's a cool guy. Yes, really cool guy.
If I may, I gotta give Ethan Page a shout out because on FanFest the day before the pay-per-view, he took pictures with every fan that was in his line, and nobody cut off the line. He was there for like 2 hours until literally everybody took a picture with him. So that was pretty cool for him to do. He didn't have to, but he did.
Well, sometimes you do have to.
No, there were other wrestlers that were doing the free meet and greets that they were just like, all right, they'll be here until this time and they're gone. Ethan literally did it until the last fan that was in line took a picture with him. So
that's how you win fans over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure. All right, so I'm gonna read the last 2 paragraphs of the Blackjack Battle Royal match. This sounds like this sounded entertaining right here. Okay,
it was good.
Strickland ended up performing a top rope double stomp on Cassidy. Strickland put Cassidy's hands inside Cassidy's pockets. The crowd chanted "You f***ed up." Sure enough, Cassidy hit back-to-back DDTs, and Cassidy hit the orange punch, was sent Strickland over the top rope, but remained in the apron. He went for another orange punch, but Cassidy stuffed him, brought Cassidy onto the apron with him, and Cassidy backed Strickland to the turnbuckle, and Nana grabbed the legs of Cassidy, allowing Strickland to gain offensive control for a moment. Swerving for a top rope double stomp, but Cassidy picked his feet up, and Strickland held the top rope with one hand, and Cassidy kicked Strickland's hand, and then Strickland fell to the mat to end the match. Orange Cassidy has beaten everybody previously. He beat all 20 people one time now. Orange Cassidy.
But Orange Cassidy, so the finish, he faked that he was going to go for the Superman punch while Swerve was grabbing the rope. And then he went from going from the Superman punch to now he just lifted his leg, kicked him, and he fell down like in very Orange Cassidy way. You should watch that finish. It was actually pretty good, and the crowd popped really good for that.
I did see it.
But the whole match was good, Disco. I mean, the Mexicans showed out. I know Konnan should be happy about that. Commander had a great showing. And Vikingo didn't wrestle, but
Cody, I made fun of some of your boys on Twitter, and Mike Bennett clapped back at me on Twitter. Do you want to hear this Twitter exchange, Konnan? Joe, did you see this Twitter exchange?
I didn't see your. I didn't see
your mic down, Konnan.
I didn't see your exchange with Bennett, but I saw Sapp kind of take a shot.
Mike Bennett.
Sapp was in there too.
Sapp did a retweet and then commented.
Well, my tweet is spot on.
Mike Bennett is Maria Kanellis' husband.
He did the show. Yeah.
You can argue this with me, but my tweet I think is spot on, and I'm going to show it to you. All right. You ready for this, Konnan, by the way? Or
Yep.
Joe? Where's my... Okay, here we go. I'm going to send this to you, Joe.
I'm going to open your Twitter right now.
Okay, go down 28th of May.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got it? Dark Purso Flosion tweeted this spot. Okay, Dark Puro Risu Flosion.
Right.
Okay.
Terrible name.
All right, Konnan, you got it yet, Joe?
Here it is.
All right. Make
You want me to play the spot? Okay.
You go and play it. It's just absurd.
That was a
Look
GCW
at this.
show.
Yeah, look. Woo, nice light tap on the booty. All right. So I tweeted. Joe, I tweeted.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure why people are retweeting this like it's good professional wrestling. This is the stuff people outside the bubble laugh at. So fake and choreographed, embarrassing. And that's my opinion. And I think of it, and a lot of people agreed with me on this too. All right, because they watch stuff like that. Bro, I can't stand it when wrestling like retweet like this. That's like so far away from like what you want to promote as a wrestling product. What do you guys think about what I'm just saying right now? Like,
Who's that guy up? Who's that guy on the bottom?
I want to ask Harry. Harry, what do you think of this spot right here? What do you think of this spot, Harry?
That was Gringo Loco, Hijo del Vikingo, and Commander at GCW.
Right. Okay.
I mean, you have a valid point, Disco, but at the same time, that's Lucha Libre that you're watching there.
I'm aware of that. That's fine. But I can sit there and say, I don't think this is good an advertisement for professional wrestling. Definitely not the type of stuff that I would advertise. And that's all I'm saying.
So here's the deal.
Here.
That's not a company that you're watching on national TV. That's a company that's selling tickets to locals to go watch them, and that's traveling all around the country for people that are diehard wrestling fans.
If I tell you that spot looks like identical to what a 16-year-old high school cheerleader would do in a cheerleading competition, would you agree with me?
I don't know. I mean,
bro, go look at any high school.
I don't think a cheerleader would be taking a power bomb, but
no, I was going to say, I was like, they ain't going to do that like that.
They do this stuff where they climb on each other's shoulders and they carry them around.
Let me explain, Disco. Okay, let me explain something to you.
Go ahead.
You're right. You are right. To the maybe people outside of the bubble go, that looks ridiculous. But we're talking about people inside the bubble, wrestling fans like us. Maybe you don't like it. The creativity, the fact that nobody fell over before they did the spot, that's not an easy spot. So people are applauding the creativity, the fact that nobody fell and it came off right. That's what they're basically doing.
I say it's not.
Wrestling's changed, dude.
I say it's not.
They didn't boo. They didn't boo or stay silent. They popped.
16-year-old high school cheerleaders could do this.
Okay, good. Then go and do it. Then go and do it. 16-year-old
girls can do
Who cares?
Right here.
But they're not doing it. The wrestlers are.
Okay, this.
And Konnan, I have people that went to that show.
Here, huh?
Yeah.
I got people that went to that show and they told me that only two talents had lines the whole time that they were signing autographs and taking pictures and charging.
Vikingo and Commander.
Exactly. That Nick Gage didn't have lines. That shows you that they're into that.
You could go to a convention and the number one star is going to have a long line. I'm sure if she's like trying to sign autographs.
But I'm saying like Nick Gage was there, Cardona was there, like guys that have been in GCW way longer, and the guys that you're criticizing for that spot were the ones that were actually over with the crowd the most.
All right. So
I got Mike Bennett's response tweet on the screen if you want to read it to you.
Wait, what is it? Yeah, read his tweet.
Says, most of my friends who are not diehard wrestling fans find this stuff awesome. The stuff they laugh at are stupid, hokey gimmicks and storylines.
All right, so I would profess that most of his friends that he speak of there are high school cheerleading fans. They have daughters that perform in high school cheerleading competitions, and they see stuff like that, like, oh, wrestlers are doing this too now? This is great. That's what I would say, all right?
I think that, that video with them stacked up doing the power bomb, if I show that to my friends,
show that in Mexico, show that, keep that in Lucha Libre, that's fine. You show it to American audience, they look at stuff like this as like it's nothing they've seen before that looks like professional wrestling.
Well,
and
here's the thing.
What happened to professional wrestling?
This didn't happen in Mexico. What city was it in?
Vegas.
My point, this happened in Vegas, which is like I should have hit the ring and scolded these guys in front of everybody. It would have been a
then
great.
I would have had the minis run in and run a train on you. Nothing.
Yeah, if I showed that to my friends that used to watch back in like 90s, early 2000s, they probably would have thought that was cool. But I did have some super casual viewers, like with that Commander Jay White thing where Commander was doing like hopscotch on the ropes. They were like, yo, what the hell is that? That's so different. It was very jarring to them watching like Stone Cold and The Rock back in the day, and they don't watch anymore. But I bet if I showed them that clip, they'd be like, "Oh, that's kind of dope,"
Just imagine the visual if like these guys do the tower like that. I run into the ring and push them all over, right? So this is not professional wrestling. This is not what I was brought up with. And then Konnan comes out of the entranceway and leads the charge of the minis, and like all the minis come down and jump up.
You guys just booked the next GCW show in Vegas.
There you go.
Konnan, when people pop, if that happens, do you think?
Yeah, especially if some guy had a stick with a cloud over you, like old man yelling at cloud.
It was just to step back for a minute in the Battle Royal. JR called the first half of the show, and he got some Twitter heat a couple of times. The first time was when he said when all the luchadors started teaming up to fight. He said, "Well, they're all family," and people took that as, "Oh my God, JR saying all Hispanics are related. Get him off there. Get him out of there." And then he, codified it by saying, "I mean, they all have history together," but nobody mentioned that part. They just mentioned the part where he said, "Hey, they're all family."
Well, you know what he meant, and it really was nothing. Bro,
I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican, and I don't care. I'm like, yeah, sure, we're all family.
And
I got no issue with that.
If you're in a foreign country, okay, you all speak a language, and nobody speaks your language, everything, and it's a big fight. Like, would common sense dictate that maybe the people of the same country that could speak to each other would all congregate and join up and maybe like form of like, would that be out of the realm of common sense if that would actually happen in that match?
Well, here's the truth. I hate like when Anglos want to get offended for other races.
Right. Exactly.
Just support us. You don't need to virtue signal and go, "Oh, look at what I did," or "Look at what he did."
Right.
Just, you know what I'm saying? But that seems to be a big deal today. Virtue signal.
That wasn't that the match where his coffee got knocked over too, and he's all.
That was later on. He yelled at Angelo Parker for hitting the table, and he yelled, "Stupid!"
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I heard there was a bunch of guys fighting on the outside during a battle royal, and JR goes, "They know the rules, right?"
Yeah, here's the thing. Like,
nobody in the arena knew the rules. Yeah. Nobody in the arena knew the rules.
I've defended.
I don't throw that over the top rope.
Well,
because they were out.
About, he was yelling during Jericho Sabu too about what is Sabu supposed to be the ref? What the hell's going? So my thing is, I've always backed him up, and I've said before I'd rather hear him on Dynamite. But I don't think that anymore because Sunday night, dude, he sounds like he hates what he's seeing. And
because you know what I think? Because he grew up in the WWE, which is a whole different ball game, Right. So it's almost like a guy that maybe, I don't know, Disco, that he was all his life, he worked for the New York Yankees as a lead commentator. Now he's in AA, commentating there, and he's hating it, because he's not, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, we literally we had JR.
His job is to make
my time.
Is to put it over. Is to put it over. I'm saying, and he wasn't.
Reclaiming my time. So JR was, if you recall, Joe, JR was on this show.
Yes. And
we spoke. I brought this up to him about how he is used to narrating stories.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's narrating. He's doing a commentary for a product where they work so fast, spot to spot to spot to spot. He doesn't. All he has time to do is call action.
Yeah.
Which is not his strong point.
Very good point.
It's not his strong point is, well, my God, what is the Undertaker going to do here?
Yeah.
What like stuff like that?
You, McMahon.
Bro, here in AEW, he's just having to call move after move after move after move, and these guys don't realize you have one of the greatest narrators and storytellers in the history of professional wrestling. Slow down and let the guy get you over through his ability to tell the people about you.
That's all fine.
Right.
I agree with
that. Now, were they? Let me ask you a question. You guys, who saw the pay-per-view? Harry?
I was there.
Yeah, I saw most of it.
I saw.
Okay, was there good storytelling before? I know Disco's going to get to it, but was there good storytelling in the Adam Cole Chris Jericho match or no?
It was kind of confusing because
what match had good storytelling? What match? Any?
I like the final two. Those two took over the crowd. Really.
But was there good storyline and all that?
Yeah,
maybe that's where they should put him. They should just put him in the matches that have storylines.
Yeah.
So he can you can
narrate the stories,
get the best out of him. But he's like,
you don't need JR.
I don't know what this is.
No, well, here's an example, and this is where I think it's a problem. Like during Cole Jericho, he's basically calling the match stupid. And how am I supposed to? I'm trying to take it seriously as a viewer.
What do you mean by that?
He was saying, well, the same usual thing about the rules. What the hell is Sabu? Oh, I didn't mean to hit that. What the hell is Sabu doing out here? And then at one point, after
so he's making a mockery of the lack of rules in the match.
Yeah, and after so many headshots back and forth, JR, he kind of mocked that too. Like, wow, how many headshots can these guys take? When shouldn't he be like, wow, these guys are indestructible or something like that? He just he shades a lot of the stuff, and
I'm aware of that.
The show. Yeah,
I'm aware of that, but this guy's been neutered, okay, because he's been given a product where it doesn't. There's not a lot of characters. The matches are all a bunch of moves and false finishes, one after the other, and everything. So I think that maybe his character is kind of like this old school guy, maybe that's kind of like burying the performances that he's seeing out there. And question what these guys are doing out there.
If you're lead announcer, actually, that sounds my product.
That sounds more entertaining. That sounds more entertaining than what he's been doing. To be honest with you,
I used to like it, but now it just stands out a lot more to me. Like,
well, why are these guys hitting each other they're doing these headshots back and forth? That's exactly what I would be saying if I was watching this. I'm like, what are these guys, stupid?
Yeah,
that would be my commentary.
But how is that? How is that putting over what these guys are doing to the audience? Now the audience think it's stupid, and it's.
Well, they should, because it is.
No, they should think it's a.
Joe, this is a problem with professional wrestling today. These guys are doing too much stupid there, and literally nobody's calling them out on it, except for a guy like me, a guy like JR in the show. Nobody's like Cornette does too, and stuff. But bro, these guys are continuing to do a lot of stupid, careless. In the climate of the year 2023, where we saw what happened with Tua, and so we know about the concussions, and everything, and these people are still just with no regard to that at all, and then think that nobody's going to observe it and say what the heck are these guys doing out there?
Here's the problem: we were former wrestlers. Because it doesn't matter until it happens to you. When Eddie Guerrero passed away, did anybody stop taking drugs because of that? No. When all of our favorite wrestlers and friends were dying, overdosing, and nobody stopped doing nothing, bro. If somebody breaks their leg, you don't say, "Oh, I'm not going to fly because I might break my leg." You're trying to get yours, and you're living in the moment. So you're right about what you say. A lot of stupid shit, but when you're young, you don't give a bro.
Bro, these guys aren't young.
Here's an example.
This is Adam Cole and Chris Jericho.
You're wrestling Saturn for
what they do wrong,
right?
Oh, hitting each other with chairs to the head.
There's a lot of there was a lot of reckless stuff in this here, and I saw clips of it too, and I was like, like I've said, that's I keep bringing this.
How many times did they hit each other with a chair, Joe?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it was excessive. I didn't.
If you had to take a guess.
I was having this conversation.
I'm not sure, Harry. Okay? I don't know. It didn't stand out to me.
Reclaiming my time. I was having this conversation yesterday with somebody about this, okay? And I'm wondering, if we could have him on the show or something. I'd like to discuss this with him. Because you see Jericho doing a lot more stuff like bleeding, stuff like that he would have done in his previous thing. Okay? Now, I would obviously my thing is my immediate reaction is I think like Konnan too is like, why are you doing that? And then I was like, you know what? It's like, what would compel me to do that? And the first answer always out of because we talked about that show, it's like how much am I getting paid, right? And then I was like thinking, it's like, Jericho makes between $300,000 and $400,000 a match. It seems like he doesn't wrestle I don't know if he makes $3 million in the year and he wrestles 20 times. How much is that a match, Joe? Like $150,000 a month. He gets a lot of lot of money to do that, right? So then I'm thinking I'm looking like that match he had against Nick Gage, where he bled all over the place, everything, all that. And then I was thinking, why are you doing all the death match people do and thing for for 20 and $50 a match. And then I was just thinking, it's like, maybe Jericho's telling these people, look, if you want to do like this, you need to get paid what I'm making for it. Because you guys that are doing this for $50, you look like idiots. Okay, and I think that is kind of like a subtle message. Like, if you think, like, why is Jericho doing this? Like, well, he's getting paid an excessive amount of money to do this compared to the guys that do this for whatever price they do. Well, what do you think about what I just said there?
I think you went a long way to just say what you should have said from the beginning,
Right.
He gets paid a lot of money. That's why he juices.
Right.
But
it's kind of a testimony that, like, you shouldn't do it unless you're making excessive amounts of money. Is what I would think the message should be.
Again, bro, if you're always going to find somebody to do something stupid, to cut themselves, to wrestle for free, to put up the ring. There's so many people trying to get into the business and willing to do just about anything that you can get people to cut the death matches for $50 because Tony ain't going to pay him, $100,000 if you're a garbage wrestler or whatever they call it now. What is it called now?
Just real quick on that JR point before I guess we move on. I think they need to pick and choose better what matches he's involved in. I would have loved to hear him in that 4-way match for the championship. And I agree.
Who's calling Collision? Maybe he'll be on Collision.
I agree that it could be very frustrating and jarring for him from, the kind of golden 8 years of his career and the storyline buildups that he was had the privilege to narrate to the viewer. And now sometimes in like AEW, like some of these storylines go to like a crazy stipulation, like 0 to 100 in like a week, and it's like, how do you call some of this? And, it must be very tough for him. And as an older guy, he shouldn't do what Joe is saying, like kind of, be that nutty on the mic and just do his job, of course. Yeah. But, it's hard to blame him as well. It's a tough spot.
Let's keep moving here because we got a lot to go. So next was FTR against Jarrett and Lethal. Mm-hmm. FTR goes over. Anything of known this other than Briscoe ended up getting pissed and taking a shot at Jarrett, which would seem like the most obvious guy he would have had heat with. Just like he the least history with that guy. And
no, did it say here that Karen Jarrett hit a referee with a guitar?
Yeah, she cracked Aubrey with the guitar.
That's great.
Yeah. It was boring for the crowd all throughout that spot. And when Karen hit Aubrey with the guitar, then it got rolling and everybody was super into the match. And what a perfect name for Mrs. Jarrett, because everybody was saying Karen. And I was like, hey, it actually makes sense. And the crowd got real heat. And then FTR ended up going over like we knew they would. But after the guitar shot, then it just took off, and it was actually
was it a hell of a deal?
You guys mentioned before, like how people come out with like managers and stuff, and they don't know how to work the crowd and stuff. Right. Watching it on television, I could hear Karen like yelling at the crowd and being nuts, and I was just thinking to myself, like, this is a presence there on the outside of the ring, like she's getting people pissed off. Mm-hmm. And then she ended up getting involved, so I thought she did a very good job.
Well, here's the problem. Here's why.
Let me tell you real quick, Mayor. Some of the best storylines that I ever wrote were for Jeff and Karen in Mexico. And, and if you ever have the pleasure of talking with Double J, ask him how much heat we were getting in Mexico.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Go ahead, Di.
Well, plus the thing too is like this is why it's so, and this maybe it's why the AEW or like this generation wrestlers don't have the skill of like working the crowd like Karen does. When you're a heel and you're a manager and you turn around and you start working the crowd and start yelling stuff at them and they yell stuff back at you, then what they'll start doing is they'll start yelling and rooting against the person that you're managing. Like Jarrett sucks. Jarrett said they'll start chanting that, right? And guess where he's like honestly, it's like you see watching people that like the wrestlers today or like this generation, they don't work the crowd because like the crowd is not really cheering for one team or cheering for another team. They're just cheering for the match,
the moves,
like the moves. Like this is it's like so they don't really get into it like they used to like with the old school, unless you got to go somebody that knows how to work the crowd like Karen does.
Yeah, because you can audibly hear that on the broadcast that that back and forth she was having with the crowd there.
Uh-huh.
Like, it was good. It was good. Even without seeing her on camera, you still, that presence was there. So that stood out to me a lot in the match. And I thought the match was great too.
So next was Jamie Hayter and Toni Storm, and Jamie Hayter's hurt, so she did the job quick in 3 minutes for Toni Storm. So
they involved a lot of the outcasts, and that way they protected her. Yeah, that way they protected Jamie.
Explain it, Harry.
Well, they played her music. They played Jamie Hayter's music after Toni Storm came out first, and Jamie Hayter did not come out for her entrance. So the music stopped. Then they started playing it again, and Jamie Hayter comes flying out, and she's being beat up by Ruby and Saraya, and they ended up kicking her ass by the side, by the ring side, and just hurting her more. And then they rolled in the ring and started the match, and it was short.
Think about that. Think about how ridiculous that is. If you think about that.
Yeah, no, it's like
imagine
shouldn't have even happened.
Tyson Fury goes to the ring, and then here comes Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz start clobbering him in the entranceway. They're beating the piss out of the guy, and they throw him in the ring. Go ahead and have
championship match. Let's go.
Yeah, no, and actually, on Rampage,
that's the one thing about wrestling is hysterical to me. It's like there's been so many unwritten, accepted rules over the years that, despite how absurd they are, the fans have kind of turned their mind off and we're just going to give that a pass. It's like you can attack the guys before the match starts, I guess. So
the referee's okay,
So obviously now the hope is that Jamie can get some rest and come back for All In London, and that would be a huge moment having
Harry,
a British wrestler.
Let me ask you a question. You said you were there live, right?
Yeah.
About how many people does that place hold that you win?
That if for a hockey game, 18,000. If it's a boxing show.
Wrestling.
If it's a boxing show, 20. With the configuration, I think somewhere around 15.
Do you think how full capacity was it? Do you think
10,000, 11,000 around there? But there were a lot of comps giving out the week of out here in Vegas. So I think maybe they sold 9,000 tickets, which is almost half or a little bit over half of what they sold last year.
A little bit.
Yeah,
but the arena was 50% full.
It says here that AEW distributed 10,229 tickets for the show. It was set up to seat 11,641. This is the day of. The day of, there was 1,400 tickets available. That's what it says.
Yeah, so there were if you next to the Hard Cam Disco, the Bud Light Lounge and the
I
Jack
tweeted
Daniels
that.
Lounge.
Oh, I was shocked that they didn't they blocked off so many seats.
Yeah, so it was the upper section.
That was ridiculous.
It was a section and almost another section. I was like, wow, what the
Well, that's what I was asking you. The Bud Light, it's the lounge area, the club area at T-Mobile Arena. It's you got to pay the $200 or the $300, whatever the tickets are,
they blocked
to get
off
into that
section. Yeah.
And I had two buddies that tried to sneak into that section because they saw tons of empty seats, and they actually got kicked out of the arena because they were trying to sneak into that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, sit in the section next to it. There were empty seats there too, but no, they wanted to sneak into the club area and they got kicked out of the arena.
Interesting. Well, let's go. Moving on here.
So, Joe.
Yes.
Joe, because I didn't hear you too good. So, how many tickets were sold?
Day of 10,229.
Which is lower than the first year, which was the debut show here. And then last year that they returned, they had 14,000, 15,000 fans.
Well,
now, Harry, they're 3 years old now?
4 years old. They weren't in Vegas since 2019, and then they came back last year, 22, and then 23 this year.
So 4 years. And let me ask you a question. Do you feel as a fan, because you were there, you're a day one guy, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel that it's dissipated a little bit? It's still the same, or it's getting bigger?
So I think it's been from staying the same to a little bit lower, not too lower where I'm losing interest, but even last year, the Fan Fest was held in a way bigger ballroom and it had way bigger attendance. This year, they were charging for some of the meet and greets, and there were some guys and girls that had zero line. And I'm like, all right, that shows you.
Reclaiming my time. So I use this word. I think it's the perfect word to use. Underwhelming. The show has been underwhelming compared to what it was over the last year. And it has been until they get Punk back.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that's been the void that's been missing, is the fact that they haven't been able to make it work to get Punk back, who literally, I think the numbers show, he brought a good 100,000 fans that will engage, that they'll get they'll get the Punk boost if he comes back on the regular TV, which is like 100,000 fans.
Yeah.
It's looked like, because they were like teetering over 1 million when the bar, they go over it every now and then and stuff like that. But now it's like the bar's like 900,000 whether you're going over it.
What percentage of that 100,000 you think is going to come back?
Oh, they all will.
All of them?
Oh, they're not kidding. They're all the same. Okay. Guys my age and stuff like that. It's just the Punk clique. It's like, they'll come back in full force for sure. So
yeah, no, but it definitely doesn't have the same steam that it had like before in 2019 when it got created. Right. Didn't have the same steam as last year when they came back for the first time in 2 years. And this year it was like a lot of locals, and you'll go into the Acclaimed when they came out, they referenced Dominic Mysterio, and you had a lot of people chanting Dominic, and you had a lot of people chanting Rhea Ripley. And I'm like, all right, those are WWE fans that they potentially got hooked up with tickets, and they're here to watch wrestling, and they're not into the AEW product and chanting for the guys that are actually wrestling in the ring right now.
Well, House of Black wrestled the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, and they beat him. And there was really not much of a build-up for this, so I don't.
So it was an open challenge.
Yep.
And then the Acclaimed on Rampage, which was taped on Wednesday after Dynamite, they said, we are super hot as a trio right now with Daddy Ass, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, all right, it's going to be them. The rap, though, you should definitely go out and check it because Max Caster did a great job with it.
Yeah, he did roast them.
So next was Jade Cargill against Taya, and Jade beat Taya again. And then after the match, Chris Statlander came out, and
because your boy Mark Sterling said she can beat anybody, whenever, wherever,
anytime, any place. So Jade Cargill wrestled Chris Statlander on the spot, and Chris Statlander beat her in 48 seconds.
That's. I think that was. That was all around.
I want to hear what Konnan.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, he didn't see it.
Man,
we're just reading this to you.
Yeah, but that's what happened.
Jade Cargill beats Taya in 8 minutes and 50 seconds. Right. Afterwards, the manager guy says, she said that Cargill's won to defend her title anytime in any place. There's nobody left. Chris Statlander comes out and beats her in 48 seconds to win the title. The 16-0 streak is over. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let me see. You had this girl win 60 straight matches for somebody to just come and over 3 years for somebody to just come and take it, bro. She might have heat.
She's taking a break.
She's taking time off.
Oh, she's taking a break.
Time off.
But why beat her like that? I don't know.
I don't think it even helps Statlander either, because you came out in story.
Because nobody believes that.
There's no build up, no storyline, no nothing.
So she had already wrestled her, and she actually got pretty hot after her performance in Vegas last year, where she had a lot of crowd support, and then she got hurt. So that was potentially the plan for her to be the one that beat Jade, but she got hurt, so she was out for like 8-9 months. And now that she came back, I just like, hey, you got her to 60-0, and then right then there on the spot, I wasn't very fond of the decision.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, and I am going to go out of my way to see it before I fully say what I think. But just off the riff, that's not something unless they really want to put Statlander, unless they really want to put Statlander strong while Jade is away, and then when Jade comes back, she beats her. Dude, if that's what they're going to do,
I would have given it to Taya.
Guys, this is common sense. This is common sense. You have a girl 60-0. She's won 60 straight matches. The strength of the pop that you can get when she puts the person over that's going to beat her for the belt, like this was not the spot for that. Just a random thing. Hey, I challenge you. There should have been a build-up 3-4 week angle.
Like they had to do this because she's leaving. Maybe it was a sudden thing,
The actual match, like the finish, actual match, like Taya hit her finish, got a 2 count, and then Jade hit the plot armor champion boost, cut her off, and then hit her with Jaded and pinned her. I'm like, bruh, like it happened so fast.
No transition or nothing.
Back to back, pretty much.
I was like, wow. And then, Mark Sterling.
All right, so let's keep going here. So, to no surprise of anybody, I couldn't care less how good the match was or how the crazy spots. If there's not any if there's not any doubt who's going to win the match, there's no reason to go 27 minutes and 50 seconds. MJF beat Darby Allin, Jack Perry, and Sammy Guevara in a 4-way to retain the AEW Championship title in a match I don't think anybody thought. I didn't watch this. Did the false finishes get good pops on this, Harry?
Very much so.
So you think the audience actually believed MJF might lose the belt?
I don't. Maybe tried to. I don't know.
They actually. I was in the same train of thought as Disco going in as like MJF is going to win whatever, but then the match really hooked you, and the storytelling in the match, like they all used finishers from their mentors, and then there was a spot where they were doing a hold and a submission, and then the other one grabbed the submission, and all four of them were like submission. Yeah, and the crowd got hot with that. The 1-2 with one guy and then flipping on the other and then the other. That was good. And MJF doing his tactics to cheat and get a win. It was, the fans really got into it. And then after the match in the press conference, MJF being like,
that's
that
all
was
that
the greatest
matters, bro.
Greatest four-way ever in pro wrestling. And the fans were into it. After being quiet most of the night, they were into this match.
What were they? Okay, let me ask you a question. What were they hot for? The top 3 or 4 things that they were hot for?
Joe, there's still one more match going in. Finish.
Yes. Okay, my bad. I'll ask you at then.
No, Sammy Guevara, when he came out, he did the ultimate babyface thing and had the cue cards and announced that him and this girl
the girl has a butt in the oven.
Yeah,
right?
And I like that spot with the submissions when they were on the ground. But then I didn't like that when they started going Canadian Destroyer crazy, because we just see that all the time. So I was like, man, like, you know, we have to do 17 Canadian Destroyers. But overall, I did enjoy it as a viewer at home. I did enjoy the match. I didn't really have any doubt that MJF was going to win, but I thought everyone did pretty well in the match. They did a tease with Jungle Boy. He had the
turning,
he had the championship belt in hand, and he was going to hit, I think, Darby with it.
MJF,
and
I think it was MJF.
With it. And the announcers were building it up, like, is Jungle Boy going to do what he needs to do? And then he was like, and he threw the belt out, and then did something.
And the crowd booed. Yeah, they wanted him to turn heel. They wanted him to do something.
They wanted Jungle Boy.
They wanted him to do something that would show some personality.
Yeah.
That's what the fans want from that guy.
What he's doing, but he chose not to.
So the next match was the Omega comment. Well, we're going on forever.
No, I didn't see it. I'm just glad
think we skipped the match, actually.
Oh, your mic down, Konnan.
I think we skipped Wardlow and Christian ladder.
Oh, yeah, we did. I did miss it.
Yeah,
so Wardlow. We did miss this. So Wardlow wrestled Christian in the ladder match. Mm-hmm. This was actually before the 4-way. Before the Tony Storm match.
Yeah.
Basically, what happened here is
my question, real quick, whether or not Wardlow would be the guy that was bumping around like crazy on ladders. Well, he answered that.
He was. So. He took 90% of the bumps. Christian would play the opportunistic heel, but Wardlow basically won the match when he went through tables and all that. Whatever.
He did a swanton from the top of a big ladder.
I'm like, bro, you're like a big, huge muscle man that could do.
He did a Jeff Hardy spot.
I mean, dude, that guy's gonna learn. He's gonna bust his hip or something, do like that. And
then Arn Anderson bit Luchasaurus's thumb off, basically, and there was like blood pouring all. Like it was. I was like, what the hell? Thumb off? Yeah, he like bit his thumb when he tried to choke slam him, and there's blood everywhere, and Arn Anderson's looking like he's going to have like a heart attack in the corner or something.
I want to hear what Konnan thinks about Konnan, are you there still?
Well, you also got to mention the bump that the ladder took from Wardlow.
Konnan, you're muted. Okay.
He's showing something.
So I'm going to tell the finish of the main event.
But Disco, there was a spot where Wardlow jumped from pretty much outside the ring onto a ladder, and then the ladder just gave. And Christian was like up, and then the ladder went down.
I don't want to hear about people's fails. So the main event was the Elites against the Blackpool Combat Club in an Anarchy in the Arena match. I haven't seen this. I imagine it was all bloody and stuff and all that. But Connan's going to love this finish. Callis entered the ring. Omega dropped Yuta and turned his focus to Callis. A man dressed in black entered the ring with a red hat on. Callis dropped to the mat, and then the masked man hit Omega with a knee to the head. The man unmasked and revealed himself to be Cody. Guess who it was?
You're muted.
You're muted. Who was it?
The Golden Sheik.
No, not the Golden Sheik.
Lance Storm.
Who?
No, it was Takeshita turned heel.
Now let me ask you a question, Harry.
Did Yuta grab the screwdriver and hit Omega with it and pinned him after Yuta hit him with the screwdriver and he pinned him? After the match, okay, this is a post-match here. After the match, Callis removed his belt and choked Omega with it. Callis held up Takeshita's arm, and the BCC members celebrated. Taz assumed that Callis and Takeshita are now with the BCC. Excalibur questioned whether they are. Taz said he didn't know for a fact, but he was just observing what went down. Moxley spoke into the camera and concluded with a while holding up both middle fingers right before Excalibur wrapped up the show. What do you think about that out there, Konnan?
Well, let me ask Harry, how did the people react to this?
Oh, the crowd was super into it. Last year, that was a match that had the most crowd reaction.
They were into Takeshita turning?
Oh, I thought into the whole Anarchy in the Arena concept.
We're talking mainly how the finish. Because Takeshita, the fans the guy doesn't speak English. They haven't even gotten to really like the guy enough to care whether or not the guy is turning heel. It's kind of weird.
I've been in the arena for 3 Takeshita matches, and the crowd has had great reactions to him in the arena. And one of them was like an AEW dark match at Mandalay Bay last year. And I was like, I heard the pop. I was like, damn, who they popping for? And then I saw Takeshita come out. I was like, okay, they're into him.
Question. So when they revealed that it was him, did the people pop?
Yes, it wasn't a Stone Cold pop, but it was a reaction where people were like, oh, but we all pretty much knew it was going to be Takeshita, because it was like, all right, you follow the storyline and you're seeing what they're doing. And like, for example, Don Callis, he bled with them. Now he's kind of associated with them. Yuta bled with them, associated with them. Now Takeshita bled with them, and now he's associated with them. So
I know Don Callis has been trying to.
That's really how you look at that angle, Harry?
I'm looking at it that way because
here's the way I look at it. They turned the Japanese guy in the hopes of like trying to generate some anti-Asian sentiment and make it a hostile environment that shows for the Asian people to go to. What? Go back.
They're bringing another Japanese guy in. Disco.
Go back to Tokyo, you.
Oh.
You know, like that type of fans. Like.
No, they're bringing in another Japanese to Kenny after them.
Is it going to be a Japanese invasion? Like the Japs are like, the Japanese.
Kenny's going to bring in Ibushi, right?
Yeah. Kenny, after the show, he was cutting the promo, and he's like, we got more friends that can come in and help us.
What if Takeshita gets on TV and says, we score higher than you in school. We score higher than you in economically. He's talking about like Asian superiority.
Yeah.
Tony, would you that'd get him good heat. And then you bring out
him
and have Gunther and the Imperium guys put you over on Twitter. You know, like get the far right, get that their endorsement from the far right European.
Never been confirmed that they're
your
far
neck
right.
of the woods.
It'd be like a whole bring back the tensions from World War II. You know, back to like 2023. I'm curious to see what Takeshita turned heel, but like.
So
I don't know. It's like
what I don't like is that
the guy is like I don't.
It's a carbon copy of what they did last year. They had the heels go over on Anarchy in the Arena, and then they're going to have Blood and Guts, and that's where the Elite is going to win.
What's that? What's that? War Games, basically?
Yeah, War Games. It's the exact same thing. It's like the baby faces lose in Anarchy in the Arena, and then they're going to win in War Games, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Ibushi's going to come in, he's going to be with the Elite, and they're going to go against BCC again.
On the broadcast, when Takeshita did what he did. The crowd watching from home, it came off like they were like surprised. Oh my God. Personally, I was like, okay, I guess. I wish Takeshita did a little more there, because he kind of did what he did and then just stood there menacingly, and that was kind of it. And I did laugh that even though the betrayal or whatever, the turn happened, and Wheeler Yuta did what he did to the screwdriver. But then he still had to do his like goofy pin thing, the seatbelt to pin. So I was like, all right, we still had to do like a wacky wrestling move, I guess, to win the match. But overall, I actually enjoyed watching it. That must have been hell for the cameraman or the producer to be like going every.
So basically, what you're saying is that after you hit him with a screwdriver and the guy was probably knocked out. Am I correct or no?
Yeah, he was dead.
He still put a finishing hold on him.
Yeah,
instead of just covering him. Okay.
He's covering his bases.
Yeah,
let me ask you. Let me ask you a question. Did you enjoy
pull your mic down.
Did you enjoy the show, or the hits and misses, or what did you think overall, both of you?
Go ahead, Harry.
I mean, it was a roller coaster. There were points where, like the tag team match, I wasn't into it until the final 5 minutes, where after Karen hit the guitar on Ref Aubrey, then I really got into the match. And there were other matches where you're like, all right, Adam Cole and Chris Jericho, there were points where people lost interest. But once those final 2 matches hit, everybody was completely into the matches. I like the show. I mean, it's not a home run, a grand slam, but at the end of the day, it delivered with where you wanted to deliver, the World Heavyweight Championship match, and it delivered with the Anarchy in the Arena, which was the biggest storyline coming into the show.
Yeah, I thought it was hit and miss as well.
Right.
But overall, it was a hit, but only like a single to a double, if I can use that analogy. I went into certain matches with certain expectations. Like I knew that tag team match was all professional guys. It was going to be a quality match. Other matches I had semi kind of expectations for, and it delivered in some ways and didn't in other ways. But overall, I did enjoy the show. But it wasn't. There have been better AEW pay-per-views.
Yeah, I was going to say, from what I read on Twitter, the consensus seemed to be like they've set. This is what I gathered from Twitter. They've set the bar so high with their pay-per-views that when they have one that's a little more average or middle of the road, that people are going to think it sucked. But
I'm reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time. We've talked about the show enough. Miko and still haven't seen it yet. So in conclusion, Harry and the Mayor, do you guys have anything to say?
Harry?
It was a good show. It wasn't great, but it delivered. And for the fans in Las Vegas, we get to see them once a year. People are making a big deal and saying they shouldn't go back to Vegas because it wasn't as hot as last year. Are you an
amateur photographer, Harry?
Yeah, I got a camera and I can go out there and take pictures. And that's what I did.
All you single guys that want to be photographed by Harry Ruiz, where can they get a hold of you, Harry?
No, I take pictures at sporting events, Konnan. That's where I'm.
Okay, well, what if somebody wants to chop it up with you and get their picture taken at a sporting event?
What if
like Harry? Does anybody like if you're at a sporting event and it's like halftime's over, it's about 10 minutes after halftime, so everybody's used the bathroom. Do you say hey, would you like me to come in the bathroom with me and I can take some pictures of you scantily clad?
I'll leave
expensive undressed.
I'll leave that category exclusively for Feeney, but I'll just stick to photographing the sporting event. But it was cool. I mean, that's what I was telling my friends. I'm like,
don't disrespect my shoe can.
If you want to be photographed in public, if you have a fetish in public of being photographed in various states of undress, Harry Ruiz is your guy.
Come on.
But he'll only be at sporting events.
Good prices on the package.
If you want to go dress as scantily clad to a sporting event, Harry Ruiz will be there to take some pictures of you.
No, I'll be working. I'll be working at the event.
Right.
No, but it's always fun coming online with. I told JoJo. JoJo's like, "Hey, you still available?" I'm like, "For you guys, I am." Keeping it 100 is the one podcast I always listen to. I'm Patreon. I listen all the time. Anybody else, I'd be like, "Yo, I'm busy because I am." But you guys, I got no problem coming on with you. Unlike Kevin Kleinrock.
Thank you for coming on. Wow.
I like that.
Hey, but Kleinrock, he's my boy, and Ruben, we hung out on Wednesday, and then after the show on Sunday too. And shout out to Police Guy and Ruben Samora too. That he sends you guys.
How do you feel about the addition of Larry Dallas for the Lucha Libre segment? How do you feel like that's gone?
It's been good. I mean, I've liked it. I mean, except with him, when he says máscara contra cabellera, he doesn't know how to say máscara. And that's a huge part of Mexican Lucha Libre. Yeah, mascara versus cabellera. I'm like, it's not that way. But he's been good. And I actually really, really liked the Lucha Libre Minute last week when he brought in some questions from the fans that I was like, oh, that's actually a great
the last
question.
couple of weeks got a lot of good feedback.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, but he's been good. He's been really good. And plus, his commentary on the shows is fantastic. Him and Dombrowski do a great job. So shout out to them, too.
Now, is there anything you want to plug, Harry, before we get out of here?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Harry Ruiz, on Instagram at Harry_Ruiz. And by the way, I got the MJF treatment on Sunday on the post-show press conference. I asked him a question and he interrupted me after introducing myself. And he's like, "Oh my God, you got huge ears." And then he brought it up later. It was like, "Sorry, your huge ears distracted me, like Dumbo, whatever." I'm like, I've heard that before, so don't worry. It doesn't get me. But he told another guy that was behind me a little bit overweight. He was like, "Congratulations on your win." And MJF was like, "Congratulations on type 3 diabetes." So he was actually on the spot with everything and just roasting the media out there.
You want to plug anything, Mayor?
Nah, I don't like social media. It sucks. So just follow Harry on everything and support him.
You should plug the Discord though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love Discord.
Position seriously.
Yeah, I do take my position in Discord very seriously. And whenever we have a little town hall meeting to make decisions, I gotta be there. So
where did you stand on the Eddie Gonzalez suspension?
Who?
I don't know yet.
There's a longtime listener, Eddie Gonzalez, was given the heave ho from the Discord. So
is that the guy that keeps asking for the link back?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, keep him gone. Yeah, that's cringe.
Why was he kicked off?
He was sharing screenshots with people, I guess, is the allegation.
Yeah, snitching.
And basically the idea from everyone in there is what we say in the Discord stays there, damn it. So
and it's not like we're saying anything like insane, but it's like, come on, like we're in there chopping it up, and then people are finding it on Twitter and stuff. Yeah, like kind of lame. So, and then it was just really cringe, like begging people to give him the link back. Just
he'll allude.
He'll be all right. He'll be all right.
His email this week, he'll allude to.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to thank once again Harry, one of our Patreon members, Mayor, also Patreon member. Thank you very much for being on Keeping It 100. Boom.